What's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube? Apologies, my face is a little bit red. I got that Asian glow on me. I just came back from a work meeting, I guess, or work fun thing. We went to go golfing, if that counts as work. So obviously, as you can see from my background, I am not home. I'm currently at a work trip. I'm in Salem, New Hampshire. Ooh. So that's about an hour away from Boston, as I never heard of Salem, so you probably haven't either. What I wanted to talk about today is just a short little video about what I kind of expected my first work trip to be like, and just kind of like what I used to think about a work trip and what I thought it was going to be. And then just a little bit about now that I'm actually old enough and I'm now in the position where I am taking these work trips and they are booking hotels for me, just kind of my thoughts. And so the biggest thing I would say is when I was a kid, I always thought, I kind of dreamed of this idea of like, you're working at a company where, people value your in person so much that they're willing to pay for your flight, willing to pay for your hotel, willing to pay for your food. And I always just imagined that as like the coolest thing ever. And so this is my very first work trip that's, out of the country. So in this case, it was just from Toronto to Salem, New Hampshire, which is about an hour from Boston, as I said earlier. And I'm just surprised that it doesn't feel as exciting as maybe younger Andy thought it was going to be. I don't know really what I was expecting. I mean, they did everything that young me thought would be super cool for a job. I'm flying around, I'm staying in nice hotels, I'm eating great food, I'm not paying for any of the food. And so like in general, I just thought it was going to be like the coolest thing ever. But really, to tell you the truth, like now that I'm actually at the hotel and I've been here for a couple days now, really I just miss my wife and my cats. Yeah, the optics may be kind of cool that I'm traveling around, but turns out, if you're just traveling by yourself or with some coworkers or something like that, it's cool. But, being with your loved ones and your cat, turns out, I didn't really think this, but it turns out that's really one of my favorite things ever. I mean, obviously I know I love my wife and I love my cat, but I really didn't think that even if I reached this point where I really am traveling and I'm getting to eat all this good food, I thought maybe like I wouldn't think about it too much because it's only a 3.5 day trip, so it's not too long. But I guess the biggest thing that I would say is really like I really miss them, and it's kind of an interesting revelation to me because it kind of reminds me of when I was young. I still am young, but when I was younger, I always wanted to get out. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. Eventually, throughout my life, I was able to travel in all these different places for different reasons. Lived in Arkansas for a period of time, lived in a place called Subiaco. I lived in Madison, Wisconsin for a period of time. I'm currently living in Toronto, Canada. And it kind of feels like the same story to me in the sense that when I was younger, I wanted to travel all around the world. I didn't really care too much about whether I would see my family on a daily basis, that kind of thing. But I think maybe just as I've gotten older, as opportunities have opened for me, as nicer salaries, nicer monies is available to me, it really did make me realize that like, the fancy things, the fancy foods, they're cool. They're good. Obviously, who's not gonna like some scallop risotto type shit? But at the same time, like if you're not experiencing that kind of thing with your loved ones, it really does feel a little bit mute, or like almost like a wasted opportunity a little bit. And I think it's just because I know that sharing this with my wife would be even more fun than what it is currently. Like, yes, balling out is cool, but balling out with your significant other is way more cool. And it just kind of made me start thinking a little bit about how as I'm traveling around, I'm getting further and further and further away from home. Uh, I didn't really think I would want to return home so quickly. And so it's the same thing where I'm on this not vacation, sorry, this work trip. I've only been gone for, this will officially be the end of the second day. And I already feel like I want to go home. And this is a really strange thing if you know me, because I have kind of like wanderlust. So I just love seeing new things, love trying new restaurants, love just anything that's unique and I haven't seen before. I just love that kind of thing. And so being surrounded by all these new things, but still feeling a little bit empty, I guess is the right word about it, in terms of like I'm getting to see all these different things, but there's no one really to share it with. And I don't know, is this something I was thinking about just for this work trip? It's like, it's only been a couple days, and I realized that even if I got to experience some extremely cool stuff that if I was able to experience it with my wife, I would really like, but now that I'm just experiencing it by myself, it's okay. Like when we went to go at a work function, we ate like at this fancy restaurant. Each dish was like $60. We all got wines. They got some nice appetizers. So in the end, per person, everyone probably spent around like 120. And of course, like that should be a great meal. But for whatever reason, when I was eating it and drinking it, I just felt like it's okay. It's okay. And I don't really know what to take from that other than being able to do things with the people you love, whether it is super mega fancy or not mega fancy, ends up trumping doing fancy things by yourself. It's actually not that cool, I would say, in my opinion. In the end, you are just eating food and drinking alcohol. That's not that unique. It doesn't matter if you're in a fancy restaurant with fancy people who pour fancy wines into your drink. At the end of the day, you're just eating food and drinking wine. Not that cool. And I think this kind of thing has got me thinking a little bit about, as I've been kind of moving further and further away from home, we don't really have a true plan in terms of like, when will we return home? Because I always felt like it wasn't the time. And I know this is just a small work trip. I've only been gone for 2 full days. But it has kind of opened my eyes in the sense that, like, I was looking at some photos of myself just when I was at the work office, and I was just looking at some photos, and it was just a photo of me and my family, like Christmas Day, probably like 2 or 3 years ago. And I was just kind of looking at my photo, and, the smile I was giving was just, it was a big smile. And I don't know really what to say about it. It just really made me think, like, yes, I get to see all these cool stuff. Yes, I get to eat all these good food. But at the same time, like, if you're not sharing with anybody, is it even really worth it? Or is it really something that's memorable? If I had went to the same restaurant, ordered the same food, ordered the same drinks, but I was with my wife, I was with my family, even though I would have to pay for it, obviously, as I'm not getting reimbursed, I think I would have had a better time. And it's a little bit crazy to say, because like the bill ended up being like $400, but it's different eating with people, with your family, than just your coworker and your boss and that kind of thing. I guess that's the reason they have to pay so much money for good food, is because I wouldn't do that shit if we're going to McDonald's or some shit like that. Whereas if I'm going to McDonald's with my wife, it's still a fun time, right? And so I kind of just wanted to throw this video out there to kind of show anyone who it's kind of in my same experience or same situation, where you left home, you're moving further out, your career is popping off, things are going good for you. But at the end of the day, family is all that really matters. I know it sounds so corny, so corny. I know me, when I was in Dallas, definitely would have been like, just shut up. I need to go see other things. And I think that's still true. I wouldn't have gone back to when I was younger and told him, like, don't leave your state, stay here, stay in your local city. I definitely wouldn't have done that. I definitely think that the opportunity to be able to go all these places, to be able to do these type of interesting aspects that I've always wanted to do when I was younger, it builds onto the idea, like, now that I finally experienced it, like, you know, there's more important things in life, I suppose. And so I never really had a planned date in terms of like when will I actually come home. But I think even just this little experience kind of made me realize, like, I've been away from home for a decent amount of time now. It's only been about 4 years. But, you know, I missed a few Thanksgivings, mostly because Thanksgiving is so close to Christmas. So, like, who the fuck's gonna want to see me on Thanksgiving but not Christmas? You know, obviously. I give out the presents and everything. All the kids are happy. But, you know, like, even though I get to still, you know, go to the big events, I miss all the small events. And, you know, like, obviously I can see some photos, or I can FaceTime my parents when they're having a party, but, you know, it's not the same. It's not the same when you're not there for people that you love. So I'm not really sure what I am trying to say with this video. It was just some thoughts that were swirling my head as I've, you know, been on this work trip, and I didn't get a chance to record a video yesterday just because I was fucked up. I had to wake up at like 3 a.m. Then I had to do the Uber from my apartment all the way to the airport. And I know that's like, oh, come on. Obviously, that's what you do. But Toronto is a little different. I'm in the Hamilton area, so to get to the Pearson Airport, it was like an hour drive. I mean, the company comped the Uber, so that was nice. But still, waking up at 3 o'clock is not fun for anybody. And then, obviously, we went, you know, I woke up at 3 o'clock, so I get to the airport, I fly over there, we get to Salem or Boston around 11, then we take another hour drive to get to Salem, and then I have to work the whole day. And so, no, I was just too tired. I couldn't record a video, so, but at least we got one of these in there, so that's nice. So I just hope that, you know, the thing you get from this is essentially, you have to experience the stuff that you dreamed about for you to realize the stuff that you dreamed about is not that important. And once you finally touch it and you finally realize it's not that important, your eyes are opened a little bit. It's similar to when, you know, when I was a kid, I always thought 100,000. Like, if I can just hit 100,000, like, I'll be successful, I'll be happy, everything will be fixed. And it's when I blasted through 100,000, more like getting closer to like mid 150s. I just blasted it through in like a very short period of time, like maybe 2 or 3 months, when I just started getting a couple of different clients. And it's a very scary situation to reach your dreams. People don't think about it. Of course, people are like, I really wish I could achieve my dreams. But I will tell you honestly, once you do reach your dreams, you have to make new ones. And you kind of have to think about, like, when you do reach your dream, especially these high dreams that are hard to get to, when you do reach them, by the time you've, you know, worked towards it, you've been thinking so much about how this could change your life, how it's going to change your clout. Folks going to respect you. You can do whatever you want. You can fly wherever you want. But it's once you get to that situation, and once you realize that once you get to that perfect number in your head, so let's just say 100,000, once you blast through 100,000, you start to realize that the things you had associated with those dreams don't actually add up. And that life is a lot more complicated than just getting some money. And then the hard part comes, because once you have to make new dreams, and these are new dreams that are now, you know, you have the adult context, or you've had the experience of doing all the stuff that you dreamed about, where you now realize, like, well, okay, so the dreams I've had all that time were really based off of some very kiddish beliefs, which is fine. I made those dreams when I was a kid. But it gets to the point, like, okay, now that you've reached those dreams, and you recognize that they were based off of kiddish beliefs and thoughts, it's time for some real dreams, It's time for some, dreams that now an adult version of me can dream of, And so it's kind of interesting to see that, like, once I had passed that bar, the type of focus, what I really want to achieve in life, what do I even want in life, changes. And I expect everybody watching this to do this. I really don't think that people, as long as you really did have a dream and you're working on achieving it, you will probably reach it within your lifetime. And then within your lifetime, you will then have to think about, okay, my main dream as a kid is complete. What is my new dream as an adult? And that's just something I'm still trying to think about. I definitely think family is going to be a big part of it. In terms of exactly how it's going to work, I don't know. I'm just super incredibly tired after a work day, so I'm just rambling off like crazy. But finding out what your new dreams are after you surpassed your previous dreams is kind of dual-edged sword. It's a nice thing, just obviously because you did indeed, reach your dream. So younger you is proud. And so younger Andy Vo would be very proud of me right now. But again, the funniest part about life is that you're always growing, right? So younger Andy Vo may be super, super proud of me. But current adult Andy Vo is just kind of like, you're doing well for yourself. You're doing pretty good. But you didn't achieve everything. There's still a lot of much more important stuff than just money for you to get, You have family members, you have people who just came over to the country, you have your parents, you have, what's left of my grandparents. You got to do something about it. They only have a limited amount of time. I only have a limited amount of time. And we will only have limited time together, obviously. And so even though I spent the last 4 years kind of getting away from my family just so I can do a complete reset and really just like see what I could be when no one else is watching me or has any expectations for me. But I definitely think I've been gone long enough. I've learned a lot about myself, especially because me and my wife have been quite far from the rest of our family for about 4 years now. So we've learned a lot about each other. We learned a lot about ourselves. And I think just the next step, because my wife's about to graduate, the next step in terms of figuring out what is our adult dreams together and how can we make that happen. I'm really excited about that. And, now I keep repeating it, but once you reach your previous dreams, you don't have to worry so much about those kind of things. There's different things to worry about. And I guess that's kind of the whole point of this video is essentially I went onto a work trip, I experienced what I thought would have been really, really cool as a kid, and I realized not that cool as an adult. And there's more important things. So this is a complete ramble of a video again, but just keep in mind I'm quite tired. So hopefully someone got some usefulness out of this video. But other than that, I appreciate you oh my god, I'm just stumbling. I appreciate you for watching, and other than that, hope to see you in the next one. See ya.